listening to Around Comics. 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 Comics.
You are listening to Around Comics, episode 444. It's AC Thursdays. Hashtag AC Thursdays.
I hate that intro because all the pictures of us whenever we were younger, it's like a Wonder Years intro for me. It's like, look, I have hair.
Does it give you the feels, remembering your hair?
Yeah,
the emotions.
Hey guys.
All the feelings wrapped up in that.
Did you change microphones or something, Chris?
In the pre-show feed, Tom's background is freaking me out.
I'm in a different room for emergency reasons. There's someone asleep in my usual room, so.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. Easier to move me than to move them.
Someone you know?
Yeah, one of my kids, but unexpectedly.
Just somebody wandered in.
No, I know them. They live here. They're legally allowed to sleep in that room. Usually
it's hard to get
don't accidentally do that. So
yeah. And they can be on your insurance until they're 27 years old. Thanks, Obama.
Yeah.
Hey, we already have a comment on the live feed from Joe Galuzik, agreeing with me and Will that Rollerball is amazing.
He's old and senile. So congratulations.
Aim for the dig. I love you, Joe. Joe, you're my people.
He said Rollerball is of course it's dystopian. I mean, it's technically a dystopian film. It's just not a very good one, and it's not very good at being dystopian. But you know, whatever.
Well,
guilty pleasure. That's fine.
Amazing.
Yeah. Hey, you know,
what are you gonna do?
People. Nothing. I'm not going to do anything about it.
Can't do anything about it.
There's plenty of terrible movies that people like. I can't help it. I can't. All I can do is try and educate them as to why they're wrong.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can lead a man.
But we talk about movies on Film Force 5. So Sal, give people the info on Film Force 5. We'll get that out of the way.
Film Force 5. It's a podcast where we talk about movies. It's a top 5 movie podcast where we play a bit of a game. We each guest nominates a couple of films and then we rank them. It's all it's all for fun. It's just an excuse to talk about
funsies.
Movies.
It's just for funsies.
And
we've got
Chris,
we've got a very difficult subject coming up this week.
Do we?
Yeah, it's difficult. It's our top 5 Christmas, not Die Hard movies.
That's a long title, but otherwise, I don't know.
Well,
is it difficult? I don't think
it's Christmas.
There's plenty of them.
About Christmas that
Chris, your microphone sounds like you're using my microphone from.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't think you're actually using your. No, it's the same.
Talking to Sam.
Oh,
sounds worse.
You guys talk amongst yourselves.
It's unplugged.
Yeah.
It's not plugged.
Oh,
it's not plugged in.
Professional. He's a professional.
You sound like shit.
Is that better?
Yeah. There you go. Look at that. Wow.
Well, that's what happens whenever I actually use the right fucking mic.
Turn the microphone on. Magic.
Yeah.
The magic of microphones.
I don't find it to be a hard subject, only because it's like, I mean, what's the criteria for ranking a Christmas movie that's not a Christmas movie?
It's hard.
Not. Why?
So
what is a Christmas movie?
But it's not a Christmas movie, and it's not Die Hard.
Yeah, there's plenty of them.
Yeah. Okay.
I got a great one. I have a terrific one. It's gonna be awesome.
I've got a couple surprise picks. So we'll see.
There you go.
Anyway, but that's Film Force 5. This is around comics. Where we talk about comics and comics culture. Tom, you were not here last week, correct?
No, I was not.
Yeah, you were.
I
You
was
had some
vomiting
black plague sickness.
profusely.
You look thin. You look like
I
you
lost a
weight.
lot. I lost a lot of weight.
You look good. You look good, man. You
Yeah.
lost some weight.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
not in the best way possible to do it.
That's why people used tapeworms back in the day. Is
Yeah.
get
It's effective.
yeah, right, exactly. Anyway, we had a fairly long discussion about AI, both writing and AI art.
Oh my god.
And I know that you have a lot of thoughts, so
I don't want to repeat it.
I think we're going to go back to the well a little bit on that.
Did you-
Give us your thoughts.
We don't need to go back to the
No,
wall.
I want to.
I'm sure you guys.
I want to know what you
I'm
think.
sure you guys. I think it's finally time to replace writers and artists.
Hot take.
I think it's
That's
finally
that's
happening.
different-
Yeah, I think
that's a
it's
different
time.
take on it.
AI
it's
never
time
misses a
to-
deadline, bitches.
Yeah, it's over. I think like we should just wallow in just sort of like just bad art now. We should just let it wash over us.
Have you seen Sal's new avatar? I don't. We can't call that
Pretty
bad,
sweet.
man.
It's pretty
I mean, it's
sweet.
stolen.
Stolen, but I don't know who.
Stolen-
yeah,
it's stolen from someone.
someone, yeah. I don't
No,
know.
I mean-
Tactical Chris gives it 2 thumbs up.
I mean, I already seen people like first book illustrated using AI for like a children's self-published book. You know, just
It's terrible.
everything's a grift. So like, there's 2 separate things. You know, there's like the sort of like technological marvel of like making an artificial intelligence that can like write and like create art, which in and of itself is miraculous. And then there's the part of it that's like it will only solely be used for grifts and like various like
Well, not
rich
solely.
quick-
It's like
not
it's like any
solely.
technology. I mean, you're gonna
tool.
have people
I
that
mean,
use it.
I saw
But it's
someone
just-
on the internet, a comic book creator who will not be named, posted. It's like, well, here it is. You know, we've started the downward slide. Someone actually created an AI comic book, and I read like the first 2 pages of it. I'm like, yeah, but it's fucking terrible.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be bad art, and there's always going to be people that aren't, I don't know. I mean, I think there's two different issues. Like the idea of like someone creating some shitty art with AI and selling it is one thing. Like that's going to get sort of washed out, like anything else. It's like, sure, you'll probably have a certain amount of people that will spend money on that, but mostly I don't know that that's going to have that big of an effect on artists. But the idea of like the art is theft because it's taking real art that people have produced to create the AI art. That's a different issue to me. Like I don't understand how that can be legal necessarily.
Well, I mean, and the laws on that have always been really kind of fudgy in like how much you can take an existing image, whether it's a photo or an illustration or a painting or whatever, and they've tried to actually put like percentages on. Well, you have to change it 30%, and then it becomes usable, legally usable. It's like, well, okay, define 30% of alteration.
We also haven't even gotten to like the weirdest stuff yet, because like even within like the last 6 months of how stuff like Midjourney has become so much better at producing like things that look more finished,
organic
organic. It's only going to get more. It's going to get to the point, if it hasn't already, where you could simply completely duplicate someone's style. I mean, part of the prompts is putting in specific styles. So, I mean, I think you're only going to get into even more like dubiously weird, like what exactly is this? Like, how legal standing of all that stuff, which is all gray area. At work, we work with a bunch of AI stuff, and it's always just like nobody knows, and nobody totally understands where any of it comes from, and no one.
We've already lived through this once, and just people call it Photoshop now. We dealt with this with Photoshop.
Well, I mean,
you could scan images and alter them and layer, and it gave for the first time like true photo editing to the masses, and that opened up. It definitely opened up a door to altering images to an extent.
I think the difference is you're gonna, as it gets faster and better, you can just produce unlimited. Like there is no limit to Photoshop. At some point you reach your own limit of your dexterity of how much you're willing to do to create an image. Like there's still not labor, but on a certain level there's a amount of time that you have to put into properly make something even crappy.
Yeah.
And with AI, what'll happen is it'll just get better and faster at at making those things. So that
Orson Welles eating a banana on the top of the Empire State Building,
you can already get
and
that.
It gives you an image back, right?
And you're only going to get better. There's only going to be more fine-tooth prompt mechanics to it as you go along. That'll give you way more. There's there's a lot of people who work on these Google Sheets that if you want to learn how to write up prompts to get the things you want, they've set up formulas. So it's if this is the thing you want, here's how you would type it in. Now, what kind of art style do you want? And you plug all this in, and then it outputs exactly the prompt that you would copy and put into Midjourney to get back that thing, right? So people are reverse engineering what the prompt mechanics are to get to it, and that stuff they'll eventually just incorporate that into the actual prompt process. So there is nobody that's
and
doing
they're
that.
figuring out their SEO, right? It's like SEO optimization. They're figuring.
Well,
out
anyway, I'm sure none of it will be used for nefarious reasons, and I'm sure the already thin line we exist of the world of people confused by what's real and not real will only get thinner and more.
Your trust
more
in humanity
weird,
is reassuring.
more and more weird. But that's it. Other than that,
other than that, it'll be fine.
other than that, who knows?
It's a weird thing too, because I look, it is sort of the speed at which this goes, which makes it, because the idea of an artist learns how to paint or learns how to draw by looking and being influenced by all sorts of different art, right? That's sort of the journey to some degree of most artists is oh, I'm going to start by, and it's not just drawing or painting, but most things, right? Whatever creative endeavor. It's well, I'm going to start by emulating the things that I really like. And eventually, it's funny. There's this woman, I can't think of her name. It's Svelta or something like that. And she's an artist, and I've sort of been following her Instagram for a few years now. I think I ran into her at a Comic-Con one year, and I followed her, and her stuff was very much Dan DeCarlo-esque, cartoonish. But I mean, it was straight kind of lifts of his stuff. I mean, I could, she would post something and I could see, oh, that was a Playboy thing, or that was, what I mean? It was very Dan DeCarlo, but that was, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And now you look at her stuff and it's her own style. It's very reminiscent of Dan DeCarlo or that style of stuff, but it is certainly unique in her own thing because she spent time crafting her own style and studying and being influenced by and picking up all sorts of things. And in a weird way, that's what, in a weird way, that's what AI is doing. Is essentially but it's doing it in a millisecond. You know what I mean? It's not taking 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years to do that.
Yeah.
And
Something
so
fast.
it's just super fast. So it's an odd thing for sure. And the weird and like, you know, the sort of nihilist in me is like, well, the reality may be that we as human beings think art is like this great thing that only humans can do, and maybe it's not. Like maybe that's just us
Yeah.
kidding ourselves, you know what I mean? Like and that's just sort of like the nihilist in me, where it's like, yeah, the universe is, we're not the center of the universe, you know what I mean? Like and the idea of like creating art is the, you know, epitome of humanity, which I'm a big, you know, I've been talking about art for, you know, almost 2 decades now, supporting it, you know, talking about it and loving art. So it's not like I feel this way, but it's just there's that weird dark corner of my mind where it's like, well, maybe it's not as important as we think it is. Maybe it's not, you know what I mean? Like if a computer can
Do
do
you
it
feel
faster
that
and better.
at like a, not even subconscious, but at like a core level? Because, you know, on looking on social media, artists are freaking the fuck out right now over this.
Oh,
like,
yeah, sure.
freaking out
Because they
over
see
this.
that, well, because part of it is
Well, it's
for
their livelihood,
sure the
right?
people that hire artists will
Yeah.
use an AI program before they will hire an actual artist.
Fuck
You know
yeah.
what I mean? Like for
Oh,
sure
yeah.
they will.
Yeah.
You know, so
We
yeah,
all work
I
in
would be
marketing.
freaking out.
Do you think I'm going to go out and actively pursue copywriters before I try and see what an AI copywriting program can give me
You son
on
of a
basic
bitch.
like manufacturing
You-
goods?
Well, listen, you're not going to
I
get
work-
any of the good stuff.
Yeah,
It'll be
Tom,
soulless.
Tom, but
and
we don't care. Can I
Well,
get
I mean,
it?
that's
Is
mostly.
it okay?
I
And
mean,
can I get it for free?
mostly,
Yeah.
everything's garbage, and
Yeah.
now you can get garbage for free.
Yeah.
right.
So, like,
Yeah. And to go back to what I was
It's
talking
like-
about the AI comic that I read, it was terrible. It was also not the worst comic I've ever read.
there you go.
Do you know what I
didn't read it.
mean?
Yeah,
Right? You know,
I think part of it too is just, yeah, I mean, I work with coders, people that program, and that's their jobs, and it's like they're certainly looking at
That's
it like,
coming. Yeah.
yeah, how long before you're not necessary any longer, or a lot of those jobs are no longer necessary because you can have one person that does the job of 5, because a lot of that code is sort of just, you know, can be, you know, garbage, you know, to use the same term. It's like a lot of it can be. But and speaking to them and what, you know, I said when we talked about this the first time, and this is the weird thing that I find sort of frustrating, is, you know, because I posted our good buddy Tim Seeley had posted a thread about, you know, sort of on Twitter about AI, and I said, you know, it was a thread of different artists saying stuff, and I went in there and said, hey, you know, I'm not a professional artist, I'm not an expert in any of this stuff, but in my opinion, you, instead of trying to stop the inevitable, it might be smart for you to try and figure out how to make your art better or faster or more profitable using AI. Is there a way that you can use AI to stay ahead of the game and do what you already do, but do it better, do it
ahead
quicker?
of the curve. Get ahead
And
of
that's
the curve.
exactly what, you know, the devs that I work with are talking about. Like they already want to start figuring out how to use it in their workflow, not to replace anyone, but to make it themselves more efficient, more, you know, just getting it, like you said, getting ahead of the curve. And I think that's, but the response from all the artists is like, oh, I'd rather fucking die. And it's like, why? It's just another tool. Like we had the same conversation when people started drawing on iPads or drawing in Photoshop. It was like, oh, you know, it's not original art anymore. Where, you know, it's like, what the hell? And now everybody fucking draws on an iPad.
What I would say to them, and Joe G has a really good point. Repetitive work is always in danger. It was his comment. And what I would say to artists out there, and I've been a freelancer, I've been creative freelancer contract, worked in marketing. I've been a manager. I've been, a vendor. I've been on both sides of it. Don't be a wrist, right? We talked to Andy Parks about that, years ago, where he's like, yeah, the worst thing you can do in this industry is be thought of as a wrist. Rick Remender went through the same thing. It's like, he talked about whenever he went in for a pitch meeting and the editor said, why is your inker here? And you have to be something that's not replaceable. And I think a lot of people are freaking out because they know that at their level they're replaceable. So
it's time for the return of sexy artists,
right?
Ripped, physically, like the sex appeal, right? That's what you got. You gotta
back to the extreme
but
era.
Seriously, you have to.
Exactly.
Not be replaceable. You have to not be one of those replaceable cogs. And the people that are really freaking out are the ones that are like, oh yeah, this is going to impact my bottom dollar because I'm not a name or I haven't achieved a level that that sells books.
But that is a very Western capitalist sort of way of thinking too. It's
for
like
sure.
you're constantly going to be replaced by something or someone, or you know what I mean. It's just like what a kind of. I mean, it really is sort of becoming this dystopian existence. It's pretty fucked
when
up.
You
it's
say
like progress,
repetitive work is in danger of getting replaced. It's like you can just take out repetitive work. If you work someone's working on some way of not paying you to
someone.
Someone, yeah, exactly. It's
the driving force of capitalism is how can we make more by spending less? And the biggest way that you can spend less is to take labor out of it.
Well, our only goal for progress is like technological advances and progress to take away jobs. It's not progressing society in some way so that humanity is in a better place. Our idea of progress for the last 50 years has been, how do we make something,
It's like, oh man, but art's fun. And it's like, too bad. We figured out how to do that without. It's like, can't you do any of the boring stuff first? You had to do the fun stuff.
You couldn't figure out how to take away dangerous jobs. You know what I mean? Like, could you figure out how to
exactly. What, we still have to go catch crab? We don't have a robot that goes out and does it. They had to be
They are working on police, replacing police and shooting people with robots. So that's
that's
step in the right
direction. Story.
No, I saw a story. They're not giving them guns, but they are strapping bombs to them.
Jesus Christ.
Well,
I was just
you wouldn't want to give a robot a gun.
It's time we finally figured out a way to take those pesky jobs that are unfulfilling out of people's hands, like being an artist or a writer, so you can focus on what we need?
We need less
No, we can do that.
The other day there's a transformer blows out in our alleyway and there's a dude climbing up the pole to sparks are flying everywhere, and it's like that, I'm sure that guy doesn't want his job replaced, but you know what I mean? It's also what are we doing? Okay, what are we doing
to make his life
that guy
any
climbing
better?
that pole? He is a former poet.
It's okay, I see where our priorities are. It's we look other take away all the fun stuff. Damn, shitty artists got to eat too. Someone's got to write bad marketing emails. Great, now a computer's gonna write these boring emails.
Dude, Tom, you should have. I know you don't listen to the show. Sal put in a one-sentence description of our show into an AI copy generator.
Oh, no.
It wrote the best copy for this show description that I've ever found.
Three
it
sad
was.
men.
Ever. It was
Yeah, we should do
it
an
was,
entire.
it was fucking perfect and on
What
point.
you know? What guys, work on the first AI podcast. That is a thing that we should just be taking away from people.
No, there's already people doing it. Sal talked about it last week. There's
Already doing it?
Talked about a guy that runs an algorithm to find out what the most optimal podcast what YouTube subject is, and then it auto generates a podcast based on it,
Wow.
and he makes like millions of
It's
dollars. It's
number
ridiculous.
one, and it's the number one pod. Probably better than this show, to be honest.
Well, yeah.
We should
mean,
Probably.
we should replace Chris with an AI Chris with an artificial
Sal dreams about
a
that
chatbot?
at least once a week.
Oh,
a chatbot
God.
Chris. This is one of the best books.
It's Chris
Ever
AI.
making
Sal, you are the best podcaster
Chris
I've
AI.
ever
Artificial
listened to.
intelligence Chris.
Tom, ha ha ha
Ha,
ha
ha, ha,
ha
ha,
ha
ha.
ha ha.
Using wrong mic.
I bet yeah, right.
That was
I bet
what
the
you
AI
did.
wouldn't fucking
Yeah,
start the
he's
show
right,
with
Mike.
around fucking Mike every goddamn episode.
That was a rookie move. Hey man, I wasn't even curling today. I was dealing with curlers. It's the Wisconsin State Playdowns.
I've been
started
when I was
today.
sick. When I was sick, I watched like a bunch of, because I was pretty mentally out of it. I started watching a bunch of stuff I had tried watching a bunch of times and failed. So I'm like roughly 8 years behind everyone on Game of Thrones, where I started watching it, and I was like, oh, okay. I was like, what? I didn't realize it was trashy. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, this is, it's like the OC with dragons and like 2 or 3 good actors, and
And a little person.
like I really admire the way that show flips. Usually, people are always obsessed with like, oh, let's like make you got to make your villains somewhat likable so you can have some sort of attraction to them. I admire Game of Thrones. Like, I don't know if they've done this on purpose as I'm watching this, but making even most of the heroes like kind of like a little bit like, oh, this guy deserves to die. So that when they die, I'm not disappointed as much as I am like, oh, of course. Like, yeah, of course you're going to die. Your hubris would lead you to this happening to you. Like a little bit of that, as opposed to like, oh, all my favorite characters keep dying. It's like, yeah, of course this person's going to die. Like, this is like, totally makes sense.
It's even worse whenever you get to House of the Dragon, because there's really no one to root for.
Rooting, what? I gave up on rooting for people now. No, it's just, I just want, hopefully everyone dies. Yeah. That's all I'm looking for.
A lot of them do. And you're like, well, that was cool.
Yeah, I hope everyone dies. It's like, yeah, you got what you deserve.
Yeah,
Your pride.
Why is it everyone's terrible now? Like, everybody, I can't seem to enjoy a show any longer without every character being the most horrible fucking human being.
We talked about that going like all the way back to, we've been talking about this for a fucking decade, like going back to like Shameless, in like Sopranos. I mean, it started with The Sopranos, which is now 23, 24. I mean, it's almost an antique. It's coming up on 25 years since the debut of Sopranos.
I think it's more amped up than that. Like more,
but I think that's where it started, of rooting for the bad guy, right? In a serialized TV show.
Yeah, but I think it's become different in the sense that, like, with The Sopranos, you knew that they were all bad guys, and you knew eventually, like, they were all going. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's like any gangster movie. You kind of expect the ending, if it's going to be satisfying in some ways, that they're going to get their comeuppance. But I feel like shows have gotten to the point where that's not the case anymore. It's like, no, we're just going to make everyone terrible, and it's just this very nihilistic kind of thing where you don't ever see the sort of comeuppance. You just sort of like, are watching horrible people be horrible for some reason.
Yeah,
It-
like The Boys.
I think
there's a
it's-
lot of that in it, on a certain level where it's sort of like, I don't know if anyone's ever gonna get their actual, like there's a level of that keeps amping,
Yeah.
where it's like,
Well, it's like, well, we got to
not-
keep the show going, so we can't, like, the
Yeah.
bad guys just get
Yeah.
worse, and things just
Well,
get
that was
worse
Game
and
of
worse and
Thrones.
worse.
They ran out of
Yeah.
books, but they had to keep that show going, right?
Well,
Yeah,
now they got chat AI, so let's see what
Yeah.
chat AI says about.
I actually started watching just one episode in. It's Half Bad. It's I'm gonna look up the full name of it. It's it's like the bastard son and the devil himself, I think is the name of it. It's the guy that plays Tim Drake on Titans.
Yeah.
I
I have no idea what his real name is, but I can picture that man.
Actually, who knew this? He's British, and
Oh, of course. God,
of course he is, right? Yeah, it's watch the first episode, Sal, Tom, whatever, both of you, and let me know what you think. It's got a
What
lot
is
of
it?
cool. It's called, I think it's called Half Bad, the bastard son and the devil himself. It's on Netflix.
That sounds terrible. Half Bad, based on a novel.
Well, I'll be stupid. It's not half bad. It's the first
God.
episode was it was okay. It's not as good as Wednesday. It's Wednesday.
AI.
We agreed that universally.
Now
that
I'm not.
We love
I'm
that
not
show.
going to watch it just because of
AI
that joke.
Chris.
I'm not.
AI.
Oh, my bad pun. Yeah,
Perfected it.
but anyway, what brought me there is that the whole setup is that he's kind of like born bad, right? It's like the devil is his dad. It's what they do with like Raven in Teen Titans. And so I think a lot of the storyline is like, it's a nature nurture story. It's like, can someone who is like born bad be good?
What?
Yeah, which I think is the interesting inverse of what we were talking about is that we went through a decade of shows making us root for the bad guy or the bad people, and now I think the trend is can you be like predisposed bad or evil and rise above that. We saw like Lucifer is the show that comes to mind that probably started that trend, right? It's like
Let's
you're
see what
bad. Now you're going to try and be good.
Let's see what Chris AI has to say. Chris
Oh,
AI
geez.
said, one of my favorite TV shows is Breaking Bad. It's a drama series that follows the story of Walter White, a high school chemistry teacher who is diagnosed with lung cancer. Desperate to provide for his family and leave a legacy after he's gone, Walter turns to making and selling methamphetamine with the help of his former student, Jesse Pinkman. As the
That's
series
informative.
progresses, Walter's involvement in the methamphetamine trade becomes more and more dangerous, and he is forced to confront the consequences of his actions. The show is known for its compelling characters, intense plot twists, and strong performances from its cast, particularly Bryan Cranston as Walter White and Aaron Paul as Jesse Pinkman. It's a must-watch for fans of crime dramas and character-driven storytelling. That's
Do
a
you wanna
way
know
better.
That's like a
Chad-
really nice.
Do you want to know a very embarrassing fact?
You asked Chat AI for a description about Half Bad, and
I've only watched the first 2 episodes of Breaking Bad.
all right, that's it. We're using Chris
We're
AI
done. We're
from
breaking
now
up.
on. Yeah,
We're breaking up.
That's it.
It is the show that I'm like, oh yeah, I should watch that, and I never make time to watch it. I've never watched all of Breaking Bad.
It's ludicrous. You're ludicrous.
I'm currently rewatching it because my son wanted to watch it.
Yeah, I've watched
it's-
the first 2 episodes probably 3 or 4 times.
I'm not even going to criticize you for that, because I will say as like I think Breaking Bad is one of the best TV shows ever, like 5 seasons. It's one of the most complete stories of a TV show. But there does seem to be a group of people that for whatever reason can't ever get past the first episode or 2. And I don't quite understand it, but you're not the first person that has said that about that show, and it's just like, well, I
And
guess I don't know.
Will,
I mean,
I will watch it, and when I do watch it, I know I'm going to be like, "Oh my god, this is the greatest TV show since The Wire," and it's awesome, and I love it. I'm going to rewatch it, but I've never gotten over that hump for whatever fucking million reasons, right?
I don't know. I
You're
don't know.
like,
As
"Nah,
many
there's a
shitty
new
shows as you
episode."
watch.
Yeah, there's a new
Hey, man.
episode of Foundation on. I gotta go watch.
Right.
Foundation.
I gotta go
You
watch this
like
shitty
Foundation.
Train in the Snow show.
Oh,
about a
Snowpiercer.
Yeah,
Snowpiercer is good TV, man. I love that show. I love it.
I will not
Snow
take your
Train.
opinion on good TV.
love it.
Snow
I can watch
Snow
stupid, dumb
Train.
TV. It's fine.
Angry Snow Train.
I
Part
gotta get to
2.
the front of this train. That's what I.
Thank you. That's it, Joe G. The third and probably best comment of the night. I've never watched Breaking Bad. It's no rollerball.
Yeah, that's right. It's good. You're absolutely right, Joji.
It's good.
It's terrific. Not like Rollerball.
Good show. It's a good show. I've seen all of it. It's one of the few shows I have seen all of it.
Terrific show. Terrific.
You want to talk Danger
wonderful.
Street? Tom King corner?
Yeah.
Come over to the Tom King.
Yeah,
Our
good.
Tom King
We
minute.
should
Yeah,
should
just
talk
like,
about one
"Whoosh."
fucking comic tonight.
Yeah.
At least one, right?
Oh,
At least
I had-
one.
I have a question for both of you after we talk about this. So remind me.
Right.
I have a question. It's very
Okay.
important.
I'm
Okay.
sure it's. I can't wait. Yeah, Tom King's new series, Danger Street. It's very Tom Kingish. It's I don't know. I'm getting to the point with Tom where I feel like DC Comics is sort of paying him to just keep really old IPs alive at this point, because this
Gotta
book
keep
is.
Lady Cop alive. We gotta keep
Yeah.
Lady Cop.
Oh, you're telling me that's a real character? Like that's not a.
There was a
Lady
real
Cop
That's
is
a
like-
real comic book.
Oh, I see. I
Yeah.
didn't even fucking know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know any of the characters in this book, and it was kind of interesting. I mean, I was kind of sold a bill of goods because the Dr. Fate helmet's on the cover, and in the first page
Yeah.
is Dr. Fate's helmet, and then you don't ever really get any Dr. Fate in it. I mean, you get the helmet from time to time, and I think the story's maybe building to a Dr. Fate, or I don't know. It
Yeah.
has the helmet involved, but it's about the Danger Street dingbats, which is like a second-rate newsboy legion kids group.
Your standard kids gang with nicknames
Yeah.
and hijinks.
Very weird names: Bananas, Crunch. What's the other one? Non-fat. The one kid's name
Good
is
Looks.
Non-fat. Good Looks.
Yeah.
Who's not that good looking.
Yeah.
At least they did appropriately make Non-fat black, as opposed to he was supposed to be black in the original comic, but they accidentally colored him white. I found out that.
Oh,
But
That
he
was a
talks.
limited
Hey!
palette. It was a limited
Yeah,
palette.
But it's an interesting book. I'm just like, I don't fucking know anyone. I mean, other than the Creeper, he's the only character I really know in this book, and I'm like,
Warlord.
I guess I don't really need. Yeah, Warlord. Yeah, is in it. There's a bunch. Yeah, there's just a bunch of characters in it that I don't really know, and it's kind of a compelling story to some degree. But I don't know. I'm when writers and artists use characters this obscure, I start to wonder, like, am I missing out on the joke? Is there a joke? Is there something you know what I mean? Like, is there, and especially with Tom King, I have this problem anyway of like, I don't ever quite understand what the fuck he's writing and whether there's
He
a
always has a
subtext or
plan. He always has a plan, though.
I
Does
think
he?
this time he's just making it up. I think him and
That would be
Furnace are
funny.
just like I
Throwing-
don't know. Why'd you put why is Warlord wearing like a flannel shirt? And it's like I don't know. We just wanted to do it. Why it's Starman, but like the Starman no one cares about. It's that Starman, the blue skin Starman. And like
Yeah.
toss them in there. And be like, what are we going to do for issue 2? It's like, I don't know. I
It
don't
just
know what's
feels
happening.
like Tom's gotten like mesmerized by like the Kirby, like I can't think of
Yeah.
the guy that seems to be his Kirby,
Sholey?
not Sholey, the guy who does Ants or did Ants. What was his name? I can't remember.
Julian?
His name now. Tom's
Julian
mentioned.
Lytle.
Yeah, Julian Lytle.
Yeah, they're
I
good
feel like
buds.
Lytle is just like infected Tom King with this sort of love of the most obscure
He
fucking
infected him with the
Kirby
anti-life equation.
something, man. I don't know what it is, but it's like, okay,
Dark Side is.
can you fucking maybe yeah, I don't know. I didn't
Some of my
dislike the book.
favorite comic book
did not.
nights have been hanging out with Julian, just listening to him pontificate. It's a sight to behold.
It sounds like I would need to be very drunk
You
to handle that night.
You would be like, yeah, I need to get high and listen to this guy because this is it's insanity, but I love every second of it. It's entertaining. It's entertaining.
I just the book is interesting. I don't know.
Did you like it?
I didn't dislike it, but I also was just like, I didn't feel connected to it at all. You know what I mean? Because it's like I don't know what any of this
at the start.
I don't know what any of this means. I don't know if any of this.
I never feel connected to a Tom King book. I always feel like an observer. I don't feel like I'm, does that make sense? I always feel like an observer of a Tom King story as opposed to being like emotionally connected to it.
Yeah, it's a little weird though. I don't know. It's a little weird to feel that way about a story. There's some that I've definitely felt connected to, but there's some where I just like this one where I'm just like, I don't know what the fuck is going on here. I don't understand who are these people? Who are these weird fucking characters? If I wanted to read this shit, I'd go dive.
Trade his arm for Dr. Fate's helmet.
And how does that even work? Like, why would his arm just come off like that? And I don't know. I did kind of enjoy the moments where Jack Ryder is auditioning to basically be like an anchor for a OIN network, freedom fighter network, tactical Chris.
Carlson.
That
was amazing.
That was kind of
he's the creeper. Yeah.
Well, he is the creeper, but he's in his human persona, and he's interviewing for this job, and it's he's ranting about like how the police aren't doing their job and how there's
because he's fucking Ditko.
Yeah, it was definitely very Ayn Randish.
Yeah, I texted our buddy Zach Crucy last week because I was watching. I've been rewatching the Adventures of Batman the animated adventures instead of watching Breaking Bad apparently, and I'm to the end of the last season, which is amazing because they leaned so hard into old comic bookdom with it that with the second to the last episode is the Creeper episode, and there's tons of Ditko references in it, and it is a beautiful episode, and it is so amazing how it's just like paying like tribute to that era, and especially the Ditko era of DC Comics.
Well, I don't know if this is paying tribute to Ditko, but it definitely is an interesting diatribe by Jack Ryder as he's sort of making. I will say this: that's the thing about like Ayn Rand and that sort of whole way of thinking. It's like there are nuggets of like things in it that you can see why people are attracted to it, and you know what I mean, like try and make sense of it or use it as a philosophy before you sort of like, if you're not able to, if you're
there's
especially
black and there's white and there's no in between. There are absolutes in this world that we will live by. And it's like, you know, we saw it in Rorschach and in Watchmen. It's like there was no compromise in him. And that's a very Randy, and it's a very Ditko way of looking at the world.
But I think it's like, it's also I think it speaks to people that look at things very when they're inside a bubble. You know what I mean? Like if you're already inside of a sort of bubble, those things will kind of speak to you because you don't realize, like, oh wait, when you actually step back and look at it from a higher perspective, you know, it's bullshit and it starts to unravel. But when you're just sort of like, if you're fucking angry or afraid, when you're myopic, it looks pretty good. It's like, oh yeah, I couldn't
watch a
articulate
documentary
my
about
anger.
flat earthers and why they believe the earth is flat.
Yeah, for sure.
They're super grounded in what they believe in for a lot of different reasons.
But even as I'm reading it, I'm like, well, he's kind of making some points. I mean, he's got a good point. Like, why the fuck are we playing all this? But then it's like, wait a second, you know,
what just happened?
This doesn't really work.
Shit, that's how people end up in cults.
Yeah, right. So I think Tom King might be trying to start a cult. That's right.
We've known that for years.
Yeah, for sure. Well, he was with the CIA. They brainwash and.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
he's a dark side cult.
Cool in it, right?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I think he was part of Operation Paperclip. He was probably part of like the whole. What was the one with Manson and the LSD stuff? The whole Stranger Things. He was probably.
I'm ready to join. I'm ready to join this dark side cult. I'm ready to.
Yeah,
move to
you're in?
Yeah. I'm ready. Let's open up the fire pits, guys. Let's do whatever weird shit. Mix apocalypse. The AI art. AI, you know.
Is the anti-life equation essentially just AI computing power? Is that what the anti-life equation is, right?
Probably.
The anti-life equation.
What is the anti-life equation? I still don't quite understand.
It destroys creators.
So there you go. It's AI art.
It kills artists.
I feel like I need to at some point like really dig deep into Kirby Fourth World and that kind of stuff, because it seems like but every time I try, it's like you with Breaking Bad. I get 2 issues in, I'm like, this is terrible. Give me some good Stan Lee dialogue and a fucking flaming guy just throwing, I don't need this. I don't want this.
That leads me into my question, because the Fourth World is a perfect example of a large collection of work that we as comic book fans, like lifelong comic book fans, should have read, and maybe we haven't. So I've got a first trip that we've taken since like pre-COVID coming up. I'm going to have airplane time and a ton of like bus tour time to read some long form comics. And so I wanted your guys'
Chris on an airplane with like an omnibus, just like
long form comic. Well, it's like, what are your favorite long form series? Whether that's like, like Preacher or like a big run of Daredevil. If you were on vacation and you're like, I want to have something on my tablet that I can pull up on a plane or a bus and read.
Where are you going?
I'm going to enjoy this, like, we'll say like 60 issues. What would you take on vacation?
Where are you going? Because I think that depends.
I'm going to Mexico.
Okay. And you want something you haven't read before? Or that doesn't matter?
Or a deep reread of something that I haven't read in years would be fine.
Love and Rockets. You love Love and Rockets. You're going to Mexico.
So option number 1 is to read Locus.
Sure. I wouldn't,
okay.
But
so do you want me?
I know you love
Gilbert or Jaime, I guess is my question.
I don't fucking care. Both. Why do you have to choose?
I think you should bring the most. I think you should bring the most inconvenient book.
Some
I'm gonna play
absolute
it on my tablet,
artist-
Tom. It's gonna be on a tab. I'm not.
Oh,
calling
imagine sitting next to
I'm not
Chris on
hauling
the
a fucking
plane.
Absolute or an
this
omnibus
dude
onto a
takes
fucking-
I
out
think
like
you should
a
bring that giant
700
DC book. That
Oh,
giant
the
tome of
the
it.
EC covers book.
No, the one.
Toshin,
What's
like,
that DC? The Toshin.
Yeah, it's
like
the
DC.
Toshin, like 75
Oh.
years of DC or whatever.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
yeah,
Circle
that
is-
giant one.
This is-
Oh,
this
get
is
on
what
the
I take.
plane.
This is what I take
Get
on the plane.
Get on the
You'd have to get a
plane,
ticket.
Chris.
The Wally Wood book.
Chris is talking to you about curling, and then he takes out a giant book, just like a huge, like it's like immediately as he cracks it open, it's like over the armrest into your like.
At least he stopped talking about curling. That's all I can say. At least he stopped talking about curling.
Do they curl in Mexico? Do they have curling in Mexico?
Yeah, it's I mean, is there something you guys like reread, or you're just like, yeah, this
Well,
is
Preacher, I did read, like I reread a big chunk of that. Like
we've
on a
revisited
road trip.
Transmet a few times.
It's really like Preacher's very good on a road trip because a lot of it is spent on a road trip. You know what I mean? So like when I went out
That's
west,
a really good idea.
yeah, like on a road trip, Preacher's a really good one because it is on a road trip.
Yeah.
And so that I think adds to it, certainly. That's why I asked where you were going. But
I think you should
Preacher
read
would be
Swamp Thing and just like creep people out the whole time, you know? Be like,
Well, Tom, you bring up a very good point. Do I want to read something that's going to put me in like a really fucking weirded out frame of mind for the rest of my trip? You know, I did. It's like,
hell yeah.
so I was thinking about reading the first, like, I think it's you can get it on Hoopla, the first 60 issues of Saga was an option because I didn't
that's a
finish
downer.
it up. Is it?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I think it's kind of
doesn't have that. I'm on vacation. The last thing I went on an international trip, I read Starman, which was awesome.
How about Justice League International?
I've never read JLI. I've
Justice
read like
League
the first
International?
volume. I haven't read the entirety of JLI.
I mean, it's lighthearted. It's fun. You
Yeah.
know, you're going on a trip, so you want to be in a good
They go to a
mood. You
tropical
can-
island at one point, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
they go
when
to a
that-
tropical island.
JLI.
That's what I was trying to think of,
might
like-
be
Or
really
like
fun.
like a Khazar or something like that, or like the X-Men in the Savage Land.
Man, I've read
that.
I've read the Neil
Yeah.
Adams, Roy Thomas run so many fucking times.
What else is in a jungle? What else
Um,
happens like on a tropical island or jungle? Trying to think of like long
Oh,
form stuff. But JLI would be a good
Chris,
one. That's a fun. I mean, that's
Yeah.
just fun. And
yeah. I actually like I haven't read Preacher in probably. This makes us feel old. I probably haven't read Preacher in 15 years.
Preacher is a good. And like I said, it's a good road trip
I mean,
one.
Preacher might be like that perfect like tone for a Mexico read. It's
that could get
it's
weird.
fun-
I mean, you
funny,
might end up
but
in a
it's kinda
fucking
dark and fucking weird.
It's dark
Yeah,
and
that-
weird.
I think I
You might get a little
I think I
freaked
might
out.
reread Preacher.
Do they have curling in Mexico? Did they curl in Mexico?
If I ever win the lottery, I'm going to build a curling club in Mexico City. It's my dream.
Huh.
What?
That's your dream.
Interesting.
No, seriously. If I won the lottery, we'd move to Mexico City and I'd start a curling club
Why Mexico City?
because
Have you
it's
been to
amazing.
Mexico City?
Wow, what you know in a month? So
Yeah,
Marta's Day.
okay.
So I'm looking forward to it.
Ah.
I like tequila. It's gonna be awesome.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. Yeah, that's my recommendations.
All right, done. I'll check out all of the Preacher trades before I leave.
Put 'em in your bag.
On my
When are you
tablet,
leaving?
man.
You going?
Oh shit! I won't be here next week. I'll be on a plane. Actually, no. I'll be in Mexico City a week from today.
Week from today.
Well,
So-
we'll talk Christmas comics. We'll talk
There you go.
The greatest
see what
Christmas comics.
Chris AI has to say that day.
Oh yeah.
We'll find
Yeah,
out.
and the
We'll
week
find
after
out more.
that, I'll be in Mexico. So we'll touch base. We'll see if I can. We'll see how the schedule works. I may be coming to you from Oaxaca.
Oh,
Oh.
wow. Oof. Oof.
Terrific.
Very excited.
Oof.
Yes,
Oof.
the culinary
Oof.
capital of Mexico.
Mexico.
Yep. There you go. That's
All
all,
right.
I know.
We did it. We did
Are we
it.
good? Do we do it? Do we complete another episode? of
Did
this
you
fun
guys read
time?
any comic books this week? Did you read anything?
Danger Street.
I know. Yeah, you did.
Danger
read-
Street was
What
the
did you
one
think?
I-
What
yeah.
did you think of Danger Street? I didn't really hear what you.
It's hard to
thought.
always. It's hard to tell with the Tom King book. Like after the first issue, it's like I don't know. Like I don't know what's
Yeah.
happening. It's like intriguing. Art's beautiful. I mean, like you know.
Yeah, it is kind of fun. To, like he's so Mazzucchellian in the way he draws. It's kind of fun to
Who did
sort
the
of like
art?
go
Fornes.
Fornes. I don't know how you say his
Yeah.
name.
And Tom King never hurts for artists, man.
Yeah, I mean,
No.
it looks beautiful. So even if you're just like, I don't know what's going on in this story.
I've
It looks
never,
rad.
never read a Tom King comic that has, like questionable art. It's always like, ooh, this is fucking pretty. I am reading I'm trying to finish up his Super Girl run.
Jorge Fornes. I don't know how you pronounce it.
He's great. I love his art.
He is
I love his
terrific.
storytelling. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna
He
read a big
takes
boy
what could
book.
be he takes what could be pretty Silent City. He takes like what could be maybe a little dry sometimes. Even like the stuff where Jack Ryder is like talking to camera, which could be kind of, a little boring because it's kind of a little dry. It's still, he finds a way to like give it a little something, with his expressions and like the way he's sort of like interacting with the people he's auditioning for, so even in like those moments that maybe aren't the most electric visual like elements, like he finds a little storytelling techniques to like keep you engaged through it so it doesn't feel, reminds me a little bit of like Dark Knight, for a book that has so much talking at times where people are just really like talking, and like that can get really boring if you don't find a way to like make that element kind of sing, so I mean, on that, as far as like where the story's going, it's like who knows? Like you're in the Tom won't be constrained by your conventional single comic book issue to tell you what's going on. I mean,
is this like a 12 issue maxi series again, or is this an ongoing? I don't even know.
Even in comparison to some of the last couple of things he's done, where at the end of the first issue, you do kind of have it set up of like, this is kind of what this is about. Like this one kind of doesn't have that as much as the other ones.
Right.
It's like, oh, okay, something strange happened. Why are these characters in this position? So, I mean, I'll keep reading because I find the stories intriguing and the art's always beautiful. So it's like, can't go wrong on that account.
Do you feel like this, so this is a Black Label book, so it's outside of the sort of norm of DC universe. It's its own thing. But do you feel like all of Tom King's Black Label stuff is in the same universe? Like, is the Black Label universe a universe, or is
I
it
can see it being
separate?
in Tom's universe. It's world.
The Kingverse?
Yeah, the Kingverse with
Earth King.
Or Earth K.
I mean, I guess. Nah, I know. I guess I don't ever really think of them all being.
Yeah. I don't think Tom probably looks at it that way either. He's just right.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's the Forneverse. It's the Fornesverse.
It's the
Rorschach
Lighterverse.
takes place in this universe.
Well, that definitely felt like it, yeah, because of the art was the same, but
yeah.
I was talking.
No,
We
but-
were was on episode of Film Force 5. We did newspaper movies. I did with Will Pfeiffer and his former co-host Billy Culpa. And they were both journalists at the Rockford Sentinel Star, but we did newspaper movies. And one of the movies I didn't it wasn't on the show, but I talked about it a little bit, was a movie called The Parallax View with Warren Beatty from like 1974. And I could not help but think of Rorschach while watching that movie. I'm like, to me, it was like either the artist or Tom or both of them love that movie. And it's an awesome movie, but it's like that Rorschach, because it's about like a senator being assassinated and then this plot behind it and all this stuff. But it's like, oh yeah, that had to have been an influence of that book for sure, because it's
for sure.
1970s.
Yeah, well, absolutely.
Yeah, political intrigue, but awesome movie if you've never seen it. It's not really a newspaper movie, but it's a pretty awesome like action conspiracy thriller kind of thing.
Manchurian Candidate kind of thing.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Same era.
Conspiracy, 70s conspiracy stuff. So, I did find a big boy book. This is Silent City by Alex Segura. It's, I believe, his first big time published novel. You remember Alex? He worked at DC as a communications marketing person whenever we were first getting into podcasting, and then he ended up being the editor-in-chief at Archie Comics, and this is his PI novel series, his Pete Fernandez mysteries. So yeah, I'm gonna read that on the plane, so I'll let you know how it is. I hear good things. Brad Meltzer likes it.
That hack. Last question, any thoughts on Henry Cavill not returning as Superman to the DC universe?
I believe in James Gunn.
His agent fumbled the bag, I believe is the terminology. He quit The Witcher. Superman, and then they were like, someone's getting a new agent. That's what's definitely happening.
But he could go back to The Witcher, couldn't he? I mean,
no, it's Hemsworth now. The Hemsworth ain't letting go of that.
Oh
shit.
No, they got a Hemsworth. They got a Hemsworth.
They're like rats. You let a Hemsworth in the door. It's like an infestation.
That belongs to Hemsworth now. Now, once you they're not.
No,
they're not turning
that shit. I actually like him as Superman. I think that he was better than the movies that he was in. I like Henry Cavill anyway. I think I like him as an actor. I like him as a person, and I thought that he cut a very good Superman. That said, I kind of like the Superman on the Superman and Lois TV show. I think he's good.
I don't think he's going to be Superman. I don't think he's going to be the Superman of the DC movie.
I don't think so either, but I think he's
it's
a good Superman.
It's going to be Nicolas Cage finally.
So and this is serious. Are we talking? This is the Quentin Tarantino.
Nothing serious
debate. Well, as far as not making light of it, but like a serious commentary on it is Tarantino, right? People aren't going to see Chris Evans, they're going to see Captain America. It's the character is more important than the actor, because that's with Superman, doesn't matter if Henry Cavill plays Superman or if they find another like ripped, good looking actor, and all of a sudden he's Superman, and we're like, oh, okay, fine.
No one gives a
Superman.
Fuck about Henry
It's
Cavill.
not the actor, it's the character.
Nobody cares
I think
about Henry Cavill.
Well, that could be. I think there are Cavill fans, but yeah, I'm not like torn up about it either way. Like I thought he was okay. I didn't think he was a great Superman or anything. Like he didn't define the character for me or anything like that. So it's like whatever. The next
Superman, he was very believable in the role.
Sure. He's fine.
Yeah, he was fine. He
He
was
was-
fine.
He checked,
didn't think he was
checked
anything.
the boxes.
Yeah, but I think like I don't disagree 100% with what Tarantino has to say about it. Like the idea that the characters and the IPs are sort of going to outlist the actors, and you're not
Yes.
necessarily going to make a star out of someone playing a superhero, maybe, but I think it's a symbiotic relationship. You know what I mean? Like I think you definitely get plenty of money and credit and notoriety being an actor who played Captain America or Superman or Batman or whatever it is. But I also think like Marvel did an excellent job of hiring people that were known, that already
Paul Rudd.
had.
Paul Rudd is Ant-Man.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Or,
But
any
here's
of
the
them.
weird
I
thing.
mean,
I think you can
Sam Jackson.
switch out the Ant-Man character. He can pass that mantle on to someone else, and now it's so and so is Ant-Man. I think there is one superhero property that you can't do that with.
What's that?
Deadpool. I don't think you. I think Ryan Reynolds.
What, you
is
can't find
so
another funny
connected to
guy
that fucking character. I don't. That's the one. I think that I don't know if you can.
No, they'll do it.
That's where the actor may transcend the character.
Dude, there's been 3 Spider-Mans, there's been 4 fucking Batmans, there's
I
been
don't
how many
know.
Supermans? For sure there'll be another Deadpool. Come on, give me a fucking break.
You think so?
Absolutely
You
there will
think
be
they'll
another
do
Deadpool.
another Deadpool after Ryan Reynolds hangs it up?
Yes.
If
yes.
there's money to be made,
But will
Yeah.
it be good? But will it be good?
it can be. Why not? What, you can't find
Yeah,
anyone
I mean,
else that could possibly play a funny wise ass? Like,
I mean,
really?
those
I can't think of
Deadpool
it.
movies, the
that's
Deadpool
one.
movies
I think that character and that actor are too tied together for people.
You
to-
throw a fucking
it's like-
dead cat in
like
Hollywood, you'll find a funny
Black
guy.
Panther. They weren't
Yeah.
going to bring someone back to play Black Panther after Boseman died. So maybe that's the other one where it's like,
They
no
will.
one's ever going to
They
play
will.
that character.
Eventually, someone will. I
Eventually.
guarantee you, someone will play Black Panther again. It may not be
Okay, yeah.
T'Challa, but it might be in 10
Yeah.
years. You don't think
and then
Marvel?
the comics will change, right? The comics will follow
Yeah.
that, and it's like it's not T'Challa as Black Panther. They're going to create, a new heir to that. So.
But I don't. But I would also argue like T'Challa is not a Deadpool or a Superman or a Batman of a character where that character is always going to go on. Like the Superman was a frontline character for decades before
Sure.
Henry Cavill played Superman.
Oh yeah. for sure.
Wakanda, T'Challa was a second-rate character until
Yeah, it's a
the movie.
D-list character.
A D-list,
character.
right? So the idea of someone not playing that character anymore isn't nearly that big of a deal because they can just continue to make Wakanda Forever movies. Because it wasn't like you had 40 years of Black Panther leading up to it. You're not gonna, you're not necessarily gonna. I mean, they may try sometime to be like, well, we're no longer gonna do, Clark Kent isn't gonna be Superman. It's gonna be, is gonna be his
Clark
son or
and
his
Lois'
daughter,
kid. Yeah.
yeah, or something like that. It's like, that probably won't work. Like it probably, probably won't work in the movies. Maybe it will. I don't know. But like with Black Panther, you can do that because it wasn't like nobody really gave a shit about Black Panther until the movie. The movie made that character.
The movie for a lot
Yeah.
of people, the movie was like zero. That was the.
I mean, not that
origin.
people didn't care about it, but I just don't think it was as ingrained in people's minds as
People
like
aren't going back
Superman or
and reading
Batman.
those old FF
Yeah.
issues from the 60s.
People aren't like, well, I mean, like characters like Batman and Superman and Spider-Man get into that where it's like people walk in to that with knowledge of that character. That's like they already come pre-packaged with that. With Black Panther, it's like as someone who's read Black Panther comics and is a comic book fan before the Black Panther movie, if you asked me to name like 3 things about Black Panther, I would have been like, he's from Wakanda.
He's black.
Yeah, and he's got a band. Yeah, it's like
Fine.
there's not that same amount of like stuff built in, you know.
Along with Preacher, that reminds me, I may take the Christopher Priest like 12-issue run of Black Panther because those are good comics.
I just think that, like, I mean, if there's money to be made, Hollywood will fucking do whatever
Yeah.
Hollywood wants to do,
sure.
and Disney and the MC, like, yeah, I guarantee you, if there's money to be made, there'll be another Deadpool, and yeah, there's, you know, I mean, I love Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool, he's great, but come on, like, you could put a lot of guys in that same fucking.
I don't know.
I have
man.
mixed feelings about Ryan
I feel like
Reynolds.
I feel like he owns that character at this point. It's just, I don't know.
Marvel
Well,
will tell him he does not.
Yeah, he
that.
doesn't.
Hey,
own it.
you know, I've been watching and rewatching a lot of Star Wars, and Harrison Ford is Han Solo, but I keep going back and watching the Solo movie and fucking loving it, and it's okay that Harrison Ford isn't Han Solo. It's still a really fucking fun and great movie.
Not everybody agreed with you. That movie didn't do very well.
I don't care. I enjoyed it. So yeah, I guess.
So you can
I didn't
accept
know-
someone other than
I guess
Harrison
outside-
Ford
before
as
that, I
Han
was like,
Solo,
no, except
Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool.
but
That is-
fucking Ryan Reynolds is cemented
so.
in.
Hey, I'm probably backtracking and agreeing with you, but didn't that spur some wonderful conversation?
yeah, I'm done.
Lovely. You're done? All right.
I'm done.
All right.
I can't talk anymore.
Everyone, thank you for watching, listening, doing what you do. If you want to help support the show, you can do so by
Do what
going
you
over to patreon.com
Bless
/Around Comics. God bless you, Tom. Yeah, email us at info@aroundcomics.com. Keep posting in the live chat. Appreciate it. Check out Film Force 5. Be good to each other. Have a wonderful, safe, happy, awesome holiday, because I'm not going to be here for the next 2 weeks.
God protect Ryan
Going to
Reynolds, the
Mexico.
one man you can play Deadpool.
Yeah.
God,
Jesus save
Jesus.
Ryan Reynolds.
Jesus
I
save
will talk about,
our Deadpool.
about Preacher and Silent City and what else did I say I was going to read? 12 issues of
Get some
what?
Mexican
You're not
comics.
gonna read
Black
shit.
Panther.
You're not gonna read.
Yeah.
You should be watching
You're gonna
Breaking
be-
Bad. There's a
You know
there's a
what?
Mexico
Maybe-
connection to
oh,
Breaking Bad.
There's a
Remember
lot.
the-
Yeah.
The
there's a-
cartel. The cartel is
Yeah.
really involved with.
I will watch while I'm there the first season
Yeah.
of Breaking Bad.
Make sure to ask
if any-
around a lot about cartels and like.
Yeah, oh yeah. When you're in Mexico City, make sure you investigate cartels. Make sure. And if
ask
there's any
around.
cartel, if there's any cartel members watching, you know, a white couple from Wisconsin is heading down soon. The next
Curling
week.
I'm
cartel.
not going to be wearing my
If you're
Bucks
looking-
hat.
if you're
The
looking
curling cartel.
The curling cartel.
Oh, dude, we are going to a wrestling match. We're going to do the
Luchador
we're gonna
donkey
do the
show.
luchador.
You gonna do a donkey
That's
show?
it. Huh? Not
You're gonna do a donkey show?
with my wife.
Oh, what the
Period.
fuck! What a waste! What a waste of time spent
Yeah,
in
so,
Mexico.
yeah, we're gonna go. I think it's in Oaxaca City. We're gonna go to a luchador.
You just love saying
show.
Oaxaca, don't you?
I love
You say it
saying
like a
Oaxaca.
you
Can't
say it
wait.
like a fucking like a
Gringo?
weatherman.
Fucking
You say it like
dude,
a weatherman. Just
the
love
weather
it.
in
I'm
Oaxaca.
a Midwesterner. Oaxaca. Yeah, so it's gonna. Yeah, I'm excited.
Well, you have fun
Yeah.
in Mexico City.
Yeah.
Enjoy Oaxaca. Oaxaca. Oaxaca.
Nah, can't do that. All right. I hate you all.
Love you.
Great rest of your week and weekend. Sal and Tom will be back next week.
Hell
Maybe.
yeah.
Get a guest.
I don't want to
Maybe
talk
we'll
to
get
more
a
people.
special jolly fat man. Santa Claus is our special.
Right? Right.
Oh
Right.
God, can we get Can we get somebody? Oh, I didn't tell you guys
Just-
before we go, just real quick. So I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday night. I'm sitting there and I got off of work and I was in my kitchen and all of a sudden my phone buzzes and it's a text message from Suntress. And he's like, what did your reply mean to Tony Harris? And I'm like, what? He's like, what did your reply to Tony Harris mean? And I'm like, I don't remember replying to Tony Harris. What are you talking about?
Like getting drunk and tearing down Tony Harris on Twitter or something.
But I got nervous. I'm like, did I accidentally post something to Tony Harris or something? Like, I'm like, I don't think I've ever spoken to Tony Harris in my entire life. And he comes back a few seconds later. He's like, oh, it was Sal Abernathy. I'm like,
hilarious.
Freaks me out.
Hilarious.
Like,
I was like, well, yeah. Like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
What did Sal say?
Yeah, I don't even know. I don't know what he said to Tony Harris. Yeah, I guess you'll have to watch or listen to Suntress's show to find out. I'm not sure.
Oh,
I just thought that was pretty funny though.
Nice.
That's it. I'm done.
All right, guys.
All right.
Yeah. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. You guys hopefully be back next Thursday. I'll be back in a few weeks, whatever. As long as I don't get killed by the cartels. In the meantime,
in between time,
we'll be everywhere.
I'm gonna feel really bad if Chris gets kidnapped.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm gonna
it's
wake
so
up,
bad.
in like
No.
a fucking bathtub filled with ice, missing a fucking kidney.
That's racist. That doesn't happen. Don't.
No, I think we'll be fine.
This guy thinks he can come down to Mexico and start a curling club.
Right? Fucking arrogance on this fucking gringo. He's
Gonna
gonna
be
come down and open
amazing.
we have amazing curling clubs in Mexico City already. White man, we don't need you to come down and
When
save us.
Mexico wins the gold in the Olympics, I'm gonna be so proud of them.
Dude,
it's gonna be awesome.
Mexicans only want ice in their fucking drinks. They don't want to fucking
I'm
stand
aware.
on it and push shit
No,
around
That's not true. That's not.
and push
Yeah.
stones around.
Do we have a world before we go? World Cup pick? Argentina, France.
No.
Who are you going with?
USA, man. Are they in it?
Yeah,
I don't
They're
even-
done. They're out. It's Argentina.
Oh.
or
I only
France.
watch. I've
your-
only watched
your
5
options.
soccer matches in my life, and they've all been U.S. versus somebody.
That's
care for
right.
the sport.
Your options are Argentina
Dude,
and France.
I didn't fucking watch soccer when my kid played it. You think I'm watching a bunch of fucking rich, flopping, fucking piss pants crybabies run around a goddamn grass field kicking a ball? No.
I love
I
it when
fucking
people
don't
make
want
the tactical Chris joke because I'm really just acting like Sal.
Yeah, that's right. That's how you're doing it.
Like an American sport.
I know. I don't fucking care about soccer.
I'm going with Argentina. Messi. Get that
loser.
World Cup.
That
All right,
fucking
everyone.
loser. How can they call him great? So the greatest ever, and he's never won. What a fucking chump. That's the dumb. How dumb. And that sport fucking ends in a tie. What a fucking dumbass
I don't
sport.
know. I'm not buying into the greatest ever. I mean, that's like Pele. He's like Babe Ruth. I think Messi's probably the greatest. Like
The only other soccer player you know. Someone's got to go.
Hey,
Bye.
I'm bye.
I'm a
Done.
total.
Coming.